Good morning. In the past few weeks, Pastor has mentioned, it was in the January newsletter, that we've got a mission trip planned for our members to participate in for this summer. With a lot of prayerful guidance and some of the teams and committees that I serve on here at church, I started looking into possibilities for us and ended up in November making a trip down to Caldwell, Ohio, and that is where this has all come together from. So what we really want to do is put together a mission team for Advent. And yes, we are going to go to Caldwell this summer, the week of the 17th of June. But it's also about next year and the year after that and the year after that. What we would like to see is an ongoing mission to get out and do service outside the community, outside the state. Maybe at some point some of them will be outside the country. So this isn't just about Caldwell, it's about years to come. So that just simply states that we've got June 17th reserved for Caldwell this summer. So I don't know how many of you know where Caldwell, Ohio even is. If you get on 77 and head toward the beach, it's going to be about 25 miles before you leave Ohio. If any of you know where State Route 78 crosses over 77, I think it's the Noble County Fairgrounds that's right there at that intersection. And about 2 miles back up north, you hit the little town of Caldwell. And it's about 25 miles north of the Ohio River, right off of 77. Now, this particular building is where Lutheran Social Services is housed, and a woman named Mary Woodward is the director for something like 14 counties in south central and southeastern Ohio. And so when I was down there in November, I met with her. I just took a picture of their sign that hung right there by the front door. You may have been able to see it a minute ago. But I took this because on the left-hand side, you can see I was able to summarize what goes on at this distribution center based on a lot of the things she shared with me and what it actually says there. But what Lutheran Social Services does in southern Ohio is they do an outreach ministry to all those Appalachian counties that are there. They have food banks. They have aid when children are born and they need beds and clothing for new babies being born, etc. They also do disaster response, and I'll talk just a little bit more about that as I go on. And then, of course, the third thing there on the left is they host the mission groups, which is what we will be doing. And in the last, what would that be, 2 to 3 summers, they've had 162 projects completed just by the mission groups alone. So the town of Caldwell, if you haven't been there, I found out it only takes about an hour and a half to drive down there. I allowed myself 2 hours, so I got there early. Didn't want to catch her off guard, not knowing what else was going on that morning with the woman I was meeting with. So I thought, well, I need to see Caldwell. So I started driving around, took lots of pictures. And this is just one of the shots of downtown. In fact, I've got about 5 slides here that'll just show you downtown. That was just across the street from the other one, and that was the only restaurant I could find in town, what we would call a full-service sit-down restaurant. I think it's called the Archwood, if I'm reading that correctly. And they have a real pretty town square. That building in the middle, to me, looked like it may have used to have been a school building. They had a very small park. If I counted correctly, they had enough for maybe 2 soccer teams to be out there practicing at a time. They had a shelter down there. Of course, you got to love my photography. I took that shelter right through that shrub. So sorry about that. And through the windshield, too. So, oh, they had a Dairy Queen. And when Doug asked me about having been there, he said, well, where are we going for ice cream? And I said, they've got that covered. So I guess in Doug's mind, they have 2 restaurants. I'll let you decide. Okay, but he thought that was good news. That actually, the Dairy Queen was probably about a mile from where the distribution center is. Okay, so that's the town itself. Now I'm back at the distribution center, that first building I showed you a shot of. And I just wanted to take some pictures to show you what the facilities were like. They have a very long galley-style kitchen in there, and that's a shot of one end of it. And then if we see The next slide, we're just going to see the other end. So that's where we'll be preparing our meals. We do have to take all of our food down with us, and we will be packing our food to go out to the work sites every day and having breakfast here in this facility. So I just wanted to let people know what workspace would be like, and they did have the extra freezers and refrigerator there that I had in that first shot. Now this is where we'll actually be sleeping, and this might look a little unnerving, but when I was down there in November, they were getting ready for a big garage sale. Items that had been donated that were strictly Christmas decorations were going to be offered up for sale. And then once that stuff is cleared out, which was going to happen just a couple weeks after I was there in November, what they do is they set up bunk beds. You can see the mattresses are stacked up. And it's going to kind of be barrack style. And they'll set up a divider, and the men will sleep on one side of the divider, and the women will sleep on the other. And we'll take our own bedding, sleeping bags, whatever it might be. The facility, the building, has 2 bathrooms in it, and that means they have 2 showers. So we're not going to worry about styling our hair and makeup and all those things. You men will be impressed how quickly we women can get ready when we don't do those things and we don't have all the fixings to do those things. So, in the distribution center, they said that they've kept as many as 80 people at a time in just that facility. And if there would be a lot of groups working the same week we're down there, and obviously they spread people out to meet the need over the summer months. But if there is an overflow of people working that week, or our group gets a lot bigger than we anticipated, and I've kind of given them an idea of what I think we may have coming down, they will send us a few blocks down the street, and the Methodist Church lets overflow spend the night there. All right, so what might we be doing while we're down there? They're going to have us fill out a sheet of what they call our skill sets. So if you can paint, that's what will be on your sheet. If you can do plumbing, electrical, whatever your skills are, you're good with woodworking, etc. And what they'll do then is match us up to the jobs that they know need done. Now, because Mary Woodward actually is a social worker herself, they do a case study on all the families and homes that we would be going out and working on. And they do determine a need ahead of time. And she was very clear sharing that with me, because she wanted us to know that they know there truly is a need. It's not just random how we get assigned to where we end up working. So based on our skill sets, we might find ourselves building wheelchair ramps. We might